at the top of the game.
But
this is not an easy match by any means. Xiao Guodong, as the guys are saying, has already beaten him this season at the English Open. He's going to get us underway here in frame one. He's a great professional, Selby, always immaculately turned out. Even on the plane over, I got the flight with him. He looked $1 million, although, of course, that's pretty much what he earned last season. Of course, all that money goes to the rankings. He's won the big titles. That's why he's so far in front. 2 world titles in a row. Last season, he won the UK. He's won the last 2 international championships as well. Yeah, there was a chance, as we saw Selby just knock the red into play. We saw Xiao Guodong at the Scottish Open just before Christmas. As we see this shot again, he played that cracking quarter-final with Neil Robertson. Brilliant match. He lost 5-4, but couldn't have played any better, really. He's a dangerous opponent, I think.
One.
Just tickle up behind the yellow here, although the bunch are fairly tight, and you get the feeling that he won't be able to negotiate this. Just a little drop into the bunch. And that's well done. A very worthy opponent, who says he's already beaten him in this season, home nations in Barnsley. And Xiao has been in 2 ranking finals. One of those, of course, before you wonder, was the shootout last season. Interestingly, Xiao has actually been in the shootout final twice, which takes some doing, because we know that there's a lot of luck and a bit of skill involved in that tournament. It's coming up again next week. Maybe he'll go one better, but he's a quick player, honestly, quick thinker, I guess. Very nice pot. It is a very good atmosphere in here, obviously, and especially with the one-table setup. You do occasionally find that very good shots on the main table go not so much unnoticed, but certainly not applauded with all the things that are happening. I saw a 70 break yesterday that I think was Ben Wollaston made. It was top-notch, but didn't get a clap because, as we know, there was so much going on that it's hard to keep abreast of everything. This was a very nice pot. Not even a smattering of applause, but a decent little crowd in, all the same. That's a beautiful shot. He deserves to be on one, and he really is. That's excellent. And not played over forcefully, just he knew exactly what he was trying at, and when he hit the pack full on, he was always going to be okay. I guess this tournament is in 3 phases. You've got to qualify pre-Christmas this year. Then you go from that qualifying, if you get through it, to playing with 5 tables in operation. That's the 2nd phase, and then at the weekend, 1 table, a packed house, and a very good atmosphere.
Well, he got through phase 1 of all that pretty comfortably. Only lost 2 frames, in fact, in the pre-qualifying just before Christmas. So now it's phase 2, the 5 tables here in this huge arena. host a lot of pop concerts throughout the year. Ringo Starr, in fact, is here later in the month.
Yeah, it's a very sought-after venue, actually, isn't it, to be booked? And I think that's one of the reasons, as I'm told, that this tournament spans over 5 days rather than any longer, because it's quite. It was very popular for the reasons you said. What I like about playing it here and seeing snooker here is it's kind of a unique atmosphere, unique setting.
17.
Something that not every player clearly thrives on. Others love it. We're really seeing what a fine ball striker Xiao Guodong is. Very classy player, I always feel. I think he should have potentially done better than he has. It's so difficult nowadays to win tournaments. But he's a good player.
Yeah, he got himself up to career high 19 in the world. That was 3 years ago. He'd been in
25.
the Shanghai final and looked to be on the up and up, but he's just slipped back a little bit. He had some disappointing results. He's 30 in the world right now, looking to climb higher.
26.
Ding is the Chinese #1, of course, but we've seen this season so many Chinese players really going deep in tournaments, getting to finals, getting to semi-finals.
$33. 34.
He also had a little boost just last week. Coming into this tournament, qualifying for the China Open. That's a big money event now, £1 million prize money. He beat Alex Borg to qualify for Beijing. Mark Selby was excused having to go through that. His match is held over.
Well, that's gone wrong, and that's the one kiss that you
41.
couldn't quite see going in the way that it did. Hitting the red on half ball on the left side was the only reason he could not be on one. He must be quite disappointed with that outcome of all the ways it could have gone. And he's not made enough here. 41, good break, but one thing we know about Mark Selby is you've got to finish him off in frames quickly. I think that's the point Ronnie
Xiao
was
Guodong,
making
41.
when he said that you've got to really attack him and make him feel uncomfortable, because in a safety and tactical battle, there's hardly anybody better. There hardly ever has been anyone better either.
No, and also, if you're going to play safe against him, make sure it's safe. I mean, look at the shot he's played there. Caught the blue.
Yes, and he's actually given Selby something to think about here, because he could go for the long red, but it wouldn't necessarily be the kind of shot he'd usually be looking for.
Foul. Xiao Guodong 4.
So that was the point. You see, Mark didn't really want to go for that long red, and in playing a different shot, he came unstuck. He's been unlucky to going off, actually. He played that as a shot to nothing. Might have used a trace of right-hand side. Well, probably has no choice but to go for this one. It's a real cueing shot. It's very straight looking.
32.
Amazing, isn't it? You felt from a long way out that was going to drop in. Little apology, that's etiquette. You don't really feel all that sorry about it. It's amazing how that happens quite a lot. The cue ball comes, or the red actually goes almost back on itself with a little bit of spin on it. They all count. I don't know if there's a two-ball plant, but that would actually rub salt into the wounds for Selby, wouldn't it, if that was the case? He's looking at it, and all of a sudden, that fluke could be a frame winner. He's got to make it, if it is a plant, by hitting the first red at an angle onto the second. It's not bang on. I feel this is a very big shot. Well, now that fluke looks even bigger, Dave, doesn't it?
It was similar to one Ben Wollaston had last night against Trump in that incredible match that we were privileged to commentate on. It's like an exhibition, but he had one and won the frame off it.
I think that would be if horse racing turned last night like an end-to-end gallop, wasn't it? From start to finish, it was just both players knocking at everything. Tremendous match.
15.
And there was a tiny bit of luck played a part, and in this frame, it's been exactly the same. And, you always say it's a very skillful game, but you need luck along the way.
Well, he needs this next red, and it should be 1-0 to China's Xiao Guodong. As I say, if you were with us
23.
for our Home Nations coverage, the Scottish Open, that match against Neil Robertson, a bit like last night, it was just breaks and high-quality snooker all the way through. That's what he's capable of doing. He seems a very calm,
24.
composed sort of player as well, and I think he'll be relishing being at centre stage here.
$31. $32.
He held his hand up a long time, apologising for that fluke. Mark Selby just did not even glance at him, just stared straight in front.
Yes, I mean, it's only the first frame, but it doesn't set the kind of precedent that he would like to see continuing. I mean, we know he played in the Championship League in between the UK defeat and the Masters defeat, but ultimately those are the two matches we'll be thinking about here.
40.
And he would desperately like to do well. I know he qualified for this event also in that time, but this is back on the big stage. Mark Selby needs a win.
Yeah, that's the problem. The only problem really with being number one, the only way is down from there.
47.
Now, he's still a long way in front of everyone else, but ultimately it is trophies he wants. Of course it is. He won 5 ranking titles last season. So far this year he's won 1.
48.
Of course, Selby in the big events, UK Championship lost second round, Masters lost first round, so the two real big ones so far this season didn't go as planned.
54.
And this frame hasn't gone as planned either.
55. To 1. $63. 66.
Well, there's no doubt the fluke was a big moment. He was already in
7th.
front in the frame, but that obviously got him going again.
$75.
Long way to go, obviously, but Selby will want to get involved in the second frame. Try and assert his authority here. I think that's the other thing about
81.
being the number one in the world. Everyone else raises their game against you. Xiao Guodong has certainly put together in the end an excellent first frame, an 88 clearance. Helped by that early fluke, of course. And he's off and running here in Berlin this afternoon. He leads the world champion Mark Selby by 1 frame to 0. Leads this man, Mark Selby, 1-0 in the last 32 here. And an 88 break in the opening frame. Selby just potted 1 ball. Robert Zablocki is the referee setting them up. The head-to-head is 3-1 to Selby. The big meeting, of course, was at the Crucible last season, which Selby won 13-6 in the second round, on the way to his 3rd world title.
Yeah, Selby was always in control in that match, wasn't he? He felt, showing his great experience and love of the venue. And of course, he would love it. He's won 3 of the last 4 world titles. Now, that was a little kiss that may be a bad one, but Mark Selby's got a little ticklish starter here. If he drops that red along the cushion and leaves it over the pocket, which is very much a possibility, it's just one that will certainly test him here. A good start. He needs to come back quickly, I think. Would hate to go a couple down. It would set a very bad trend in a match like this. You do feel with Mark Selby it's just a matter of time before he's back winning. As you say, he's only won 1 ranking event this season, but one is more than very many other players on the tour have ever got near to doing over the course of 2017-18. Well, that was a very bad shot. He's overscrewed and the cue ball's kind of arced into the green. It started off looking like it was going to be okay, but about here, you realise got too much on it. Not a good shot. It's the shot that the leading players will practice all the time, the in and out of bolt from the blue. Down for a red. It's not a difficult one, not really. He's a bit edgy, I think. And even that safety shot, weak. Usually you can just pull up a chair at the bolt cushion playing Selby and wait your turn. Quite this time.
It's an example of the fact that Selby's safety wasn't great. It's actually going to work out to his advantage, possibly, because Xiao Guodong's taken a red on. You've seen what's happened. He scattered them. And now Mark Selby's back in.
1.
If his safety had been better, he still may have forced an opening, but as it is, this is now looking like a good chance for Selby in frame 2.
Yes, can only play on the red up the table, though, and he's finished OK, so chance to strike back immediately here.
6. Seven.
Very busy time in the calendar, and in fact just today a new tournament has been announced, an invitation event, 16-man in Romania. So the players, those eligible, will be in Bucharest next month, sandwiched in between a couple of other tournaments.
12.
Really is a very exciting time for the sport, and this man, as I say, has been at the top of that ranking list for 3 years now.
$19.
He's never going to be in quite prime position in this break with the anglers had to get onto the blue, always the wrong side. We saw what happened the last time he played this shot. Hit the green full on, knocked it away from its spot.
20.
There's a bigger gap to play with if he goes along the same route this time. Whipping the cue ball around the table with a little bit of right-hand side. Not very good though, I don't think.
25.
Yes. I wonder if the previous shot was still in his mind there. Selby not quite firing yet, not quite got to grips with the
Mark Selby, 25.
responsive table. And he's not put the frame to bed in a couple of visits.
Well, Selby's got himself 47 in front, but there's still lots on. He is a great closer of the shop normally, Selby, when he's got a lead in a frame. Very good at closing it down. Well,
1.
it's some result really to finish there. Caught the knuckle of the middle pocket. He's ended up on the black, I think.
Yes, and of course that knuckle, if you miss the pot, is the worst thing to do. To hit that and come back towards the reds. Having said that, this is a bit of a ticklish one again, isn't it? This is missable. I'm not surprised. It was one of those shots, you know,
Marks
was he
number
lucky on the red at all? The awkward queuing. It's never been an easy shot. You feel that even though it's early in the match, it's quite an important stage. If Mark Selby was not to go on and win this frame, we've had 3 times at the table now in scoring opportunities without driving the point home.
Well, this is quite a delicate operation, just manoeuvring the spider into place. Never mind potting the ball.
Yes, I was going to say he would have been thankful that the black was close at hand, but somehow he's not on it. Certainly he feels he's not on it anyway. By the way, he's very slow walk around the table, but maybe, yeah, he maybe had to play it with a little touch of side, but naturally it's not on. It's not nice. Even if he can pot it, it would be with the opposite side that he would want to put on. I think that he might be able to just bend it round there. Queuing down on it. It's a tiny swerve. If he hits it, he may well pot it. That was the problem. He didn't quite know where the balls were going to end up. I tell you, if he's held the spot, he has been very lucky there. He's pushed the red onto the black spot, so the black won't go on its own. And that is a fortunate outcome. Well, this is another really good chance. And match is taking an interesting sort of slant, actually, quite early on. Guodong looks marginally more dangerous in amongst them.
$15. $16.
Well, I've just got to drop this in. Not do anything in flash whatsoever here. Goodness, that was only dropped in because of how slowly he hit it. I'll be honest, I wasn't certain about that. Referee's right behind it. I bet he didn't know either.
$23.
Well, Mark Selby is associated with stealing frames from behind, but at the moment he sat in that chair wondering if this one's going to be taken from him. He had that in retrospect, tough black, all good cueing. Pressure shot early on in the match.
$29.
Just got the feeling at the time this was not a nice shot. The cueing was awkward. The angle is not straightforward. Everything points to, under the circumstances, a shot that could stay up, and it did. So I think attention is now drawn on the red on the right, which will probably be the last of the remaining reds, and how he can get onto it. He's very much back in the frame either way.
$36.
Well, he spent a long time thinking about that one, didn't he? And in the end, he's missed it.
Yeah, and he wasn't thinking about that shot either, was he, Dave? He was thinking about getting onto the other red. So he's made a bad mistake here. He's forgotten about what was in front of him, looking maybe too far ahead of things.
I think that's the problem when your mind is just clouded with other thoughts other than the actual shot you're on.
Well, it is, but it shouldn't be.
1.
Just got a slight angle here, don't just stun across, screw and stun wide onto the red into play, but even that's not gone right. So this frame is still alive. 4th opportunity, which probably will end here. Selby to clinch the frame, and he's only 19 ahead with everything on. Everything is there, should a mistake still be made.
Mark Selby 7.
We played it with screw and left-hand side, reverse side, but it wasn't enough all the same. He doesn't want that one back. He's more than happy with the outcome of that shot. Can see the edge, but clearly not able to pot it. Well, that wasn't very Selby-like. I know he's covered it, and he'll be relieved to have done so, but that was not as planned. Oh, I can't believe the place he played that shot. Surely you've got to hit it harder than that. You've got to push it up past the middle pocket. That's not good.
So 20 in front, blue and yellow. Xiao Guodong needs a snooker. And that's the thing, and it's kind of what Ronnie O'Sullivan was saying as well. You know, if Selby's on the ropes, you've really got to land the knockout blow, because he'll get back up again and start punching back a lot harder himself. He'll win frames when he's not playing well. He's made a meal of this frame, really, but he's going to win it.
8.
Yeah, well, that's the example. He has not played well this frame. What he has done, though, is not scored very well, which is not really like him. But it's early in the match, and still both players everything to play for. But you just do feel that Xiao Guodong has certainly missed a trick here, because he certainly could or should have won both of the first 2 frames.
Yeah, and then 2-0 down. Mark Selby's under a bit of pressure
15.
in frame 3. As it is, 1-1. Don't be surprised if he starts to make a few breaks now. He may look back on this frame, who knows, in a couple of hours' time as being quite important. Xiao Guodong has just got to put it out of his mind and get on with the next one. Selby will be delighted to win it, because it took a bit of winning for the world champion. So a very interesting start to this match, and it's honours even here at the Tempodrome in Berlin this afternoon. Mark Selby and Xiao Guodong level at 1 apiece. Guodong won its best of 9 to reach the last 16 of the German Masters, which actually starts tonight. Our live match tonight will be Ding Junhui against Ricky Walden on the main table. Well, Selby, as I say, relieved, I think, to win that second frame. His highest break in this match, only 26 so far, but he won the frame. That's all that really matters to him. And Xiao Guodong gets frame 3 underway.
Thank you for
Just to remind you, on the Eurosport player this afternoon, the live match, Barry Hawkins against Graham Dott. when Xiao beat Selby in the English Open in Barnsley. It was out in the sticks, table 5. Mark Selby's not been down that way for a few years, but it was just because of the scheduling and the match had overrun. So the day where there were 2 rounds to play, so they had to play that match, and he ended up venturing down to table 5, never to be seen again. He got knocked out. Yeah, he played that well. Again, there was no applause, but that's because a lot of people here, I guess, are just watching another match. But he's played the 2-cushion.
Yeah, it's the point I was making, isn't it? And sometimes it is an unusual atmosphere, a very unique atmosphere. But I'll say it again, weekend here, the temperature is quite stunning with one table. I thought that in the last couple of years, it really does come to life. And okay, we're not full today, but we're usually almost at capacity at the weekend.
Well, and also, Neil, as you know, it's such a friendly atmosphere backstage. I was out in the foyer earlier. This is the only snooker tournament I've ever been to that has its own jigsaw puzzle. They're selling a German Masters jigsaw puzzle. Mark and actually Roddy O'Sullivan are on the front of it.
Well, once again, that's not a good safety shot by any means. I mean, that really isn't Selby-like. I say it again, that is probably the worst of the lot. To leave that red, probably, I was going to say, to the bottom. He could have played it in the middle as well. I'm not saying he'll get it, but he shouldn't really be left it either way. Very interesting choice of shot, though. I can't believe he didn't go for it in the middle. Or down the bottom there. It's kind of a Selby error that might have led to a chance. It was quite a dangerous way of playing it, wasn't it? Into the bunch, knocking the reds everywhere with no control. Left a big pocket here on this one. But still not big enough for Selby. Goodness me. What a chance for Xiao Guodong in frame 3. Catalogue of mistakes from both players.
One. Eight.
Well, he's okay. I mean, with the yellow away from its spot, the shot on the blue up and down is not difficult, although pinpoint positioning behind the red is not certain. Might play on the red up by the green here instead. That's okay.
$14.
So Mark Selby missed that long red, and a bit like the jigsaw puzzle I mentioned, Xiao Guodong looking to pick up the pieces. Yeah? He knows that Selby isn't quite right. Although he won that second frame, he's looked a bit hesitant, a little bit edgy here and there, which is not like him.
Well, I think he's suffering from the fact that he's had a couple of quite crushing defeats lately. The UK and the Masters tournaments he prides greatly, you know, Triple Crown events. This was an awkward one. I think the red, it was a big pocket, but I think he double kissed the red near the hole there. I think Xiao Guodong has got to read the signs in this match and the body language, like you say. Playing the world champion, the unassailable world #1, but he's got his own issues to deal with as Mark Selby. He's got to win this match and get started after some disappointments. And if he went 2-1 down, that would not be the start he was looking for.
Yeah, he's been a little short of match play as well. He's, as you say, the early exits. He ducked out of a couple of the home nations as well. And even in the week, he didn't play in the China qualifying because his match gets 35. Held over, so he didn't even have a match coming into this one.
Yes, I think when he played in the Championship League, actually, I heard a quote afterwards. He said he actually was
36.
Pleased to have won the group, but he would like to have played in the next group as well. Which, of course, if you win the group, you go straight into the winners' group. There's no substitute for match practice, is there?
No, and it's been apparent from the start of the season because, of course, he broke his toe, so didn't play first couple of events, was sort of playing catch-up. And there's no doubt that the strength in depth now is higher than it's ever been. Down the ranks, the players are better than they've ever been. We saw Jack Jones, the world number 85, beat Judd Trump last week in the China qualifying. Trump ranked 3rd in the world.
.44. .51.
Well, he's a little close to this. Not dissimilar shot at the start of the match, actually, which he didn't pop, but that time he did.
52.
It was a good chance when he came to the table, but like anything else, you have to put them away. Oh, that was a kick. That was a horrible kick. Straightened up the angle, 52. Killed the cue ball pace. Couldn't have come at a worse moment. I think sometimes you hear people say, as commentators, every shot that's missed, you call it a kick. Well, on this case, there's absolutely no doubt that that was a very bad contact, and that's why he missed it, in my opinion.
Yeah, you could hear it, you could see it. I suppose the only good news, and it is the only good news, is you didn't get on a red, because as you said, the white ball was killed. But it just came out, the blues going along so well up to that point.
Yeah, the only positive, he can develop this red, Selby, and a need 252 behind. Apart from that, there isn't much going for it. Because I guess if he hadn't have got the kick, he would have been on the red anyway. Still a sizable lead, though.
Xiao Guodong 1.
So it's 53-0 with 6 reds remaining. Selby again just chipping this safe one away from the side cushion.
Well, not sure he's done anything else here. This was a plant. The reds were a long way apart, actually. So I think cue ball going back to bulk was the main priority there. The colours, really the high-value colours, he could do with the black in play, I think. It would be an unconventional shot to play safe off the black and bring it into play, but he's got to do something. It makes the 52-point lead seem even bigger for that man. It gives him a bigger advantage with pink and black tied up. That's, well,
Mark Selby 1.
I think he could have done better with that shot, personally. There's a few shots today that have not been like Selby. We call him the master tactician, but there's been no evidence of that. Not yet.
No, a little bit tentative, if anything.
How on earth has Selby left that shot from where he was? Left the 2-ball plant. I don't think that Xiao Guodong can expect this to continue. I'm sure Selby will up his game. I'm sure he's prepared if that does happen.
Well, some laughter from another table, but the jester from Leicester not smiling.
5.
Because he knows this next red means he'll be 2-1 down.
I think the laughter was actually one of those situations, the referee's night there on the Wembo Ford match, where the replacement of a series of balls for old Marcel Eckhart over there to get them back after a miss, which can be fun for the audience. Hardly anyone else laughs, certainly the players and the referee not enjoying that moment, especially the ref. Well, I think there's a chance that Selby would play on.
11.
Strong chance if no more balls were potted here in this break, because it's what he does. Most players would think about trying to get onto the next frame as quickly as possible.
Xiao Guodong 11.
He nods his head.
And the frame.
I think the fact that black's safe doesn't help him there, and he's not going to be getting out of his chair. So, again, Selby just not quite at his best in that frame. Xiao Guodong has won it, and he leads 2-1. Berlin, this is the last frame before the interval. Selby's highest break 26. I think that's the main source of concern for him, more even than the scoreline, really. Just hasn't got flowing, hasn't got going today yet, but there's still plenty of time.
Thank you. Frame 4. Mark Selby to break.
It's only 2 months now till the World Championship. Starts in April, of course, when Mark Selby will be walking out that first morning. But a lot of snooker to come before then. And he did. He'd love to be going to Sheffield with more trophies on the mantelpiece.
And no attempt at the pot there. Well, he got fairly close to it. Certainly the aim to get was to get the cue ball up and down. Pretty sure he didn't go for that. Selby has not got to grips with the speed of this table. It's probably the best effort so far. Still a little short. And when he's right, you know, you say your opponent ends up wearing out the carpet at that end of the table and play a lot of shots from underneath that cushion. He's not really troubled Xiao in this match. See, that's a better shot from his opponent than he's been playing.
Safety success, as you see, comfortably favouring Xiao Guodong. I think all sports people, all greats, have peaks and troughs. I mean, it wasn't so long ago that people were advising Roger Federer to retire. Past it. Well, quite clearly that's not the case.
It's all about the old cliche, isn't it? Form is temporary, class is permanent. In the case of Federer, there was never any doubt he had all the class. And it's the same at this game, you know. It's one thing to be a great competitor and all that, but to have that extra something, which the leading players have, is what takes them to world titles. But right now, I mean, Xiao is bossing the safety, which surprises me greatly, I have to say. Even that shot, he's got Selby in a bit of trouble again here. It's a nice shot.
Yeah, he's just on the back foot at the moment, the world number one, in every sense in this match.
Yes, and he sort of cue ball limped his way up the table there, but he's left a shot to nothing red. I think whatever happens in this frame, the 15-minute break, whoever wins, whether it's 2-2 or 3-1, Selby will need to think about stepping his game up in the remainder of this match, or else he'll be on his way home.
I do think, though, that there is a certain skill in winning when you're not playing well. Not every player's had it. And Mark Selby, one thing he does have is a good attitude. He's not going to start bashing the balls around through frustration. If he can get to that interval 2-2, he can just compose himself in that 15-minute break and then come out and try and up his game. So this feels like a big frame, this fourth one, before the interval.
That's a very good shot. He didn't have much room to play that. Almost figure eight safety shot, as we call it, where he's swinging the cue ball around the angles, but he played it beautifully. Well, again, it wasn't quite as planned, but well, it's very tight as to whether he can get to the potting angle there, just to the left of the red as we look. Again, it might be a little touch of right-hand side to straighten the angle. Trouble is, if he plays it with right-hand side, how's he going to get out of that corner onto the black? It's check side. I guess that was the problem. He just couldn't extricate the cue ball from that little corner of the table. And if he plays a black here, this is a pressure shot. Very well done. Very cool.
8. Nine.
Well, Xiao Guodong has had the 2 half centuries in this match, 88 and 52. Selby's highest break, still 26. So the Chinese is making the running, and he's looking to get himself into the interval. Not only 3-1 up, but giving Selby a lot to think about. Not just the scoreline, but his performance.
Yes, and he's outplaying the world champion in just about every aspect of the game, but it's not a best of, well, 4 frames, or it's not just a 4-frame match. We have a lot of time for him to come back into it. For now, he just got a little bit of an awkward shot here. He might have to play a cannon. Don't know which reds go directly to the left corner of those in the bunch of 5. Others do, of course. I think that's probably a better shot to play on something. Must be tight. Could have played on the red up the table.
24.
Well, there's a little gap. You can thread the cue ball through there. What a chance now.
5. $32. $33.
So this is the 5th black coming up.
Yes, his highest break is 142 as a professional. I would say it's a fairly modest effort, but of course it would 1-4-2 is a tremendous break. But by today's standards, he's the kind of scorer you could see going even bigger than that.
$41.
It's not going to be a 1-4-7, but right now, the 3-1 lead is everything that he needs to be concerning himself with.
He looks relaxed. You never know how anyone's feeling inside, but he looks composed.
46.
It must have helped as well. He beat Selby in that English Open. As the match time ticks over here to an hour. That was the most recent meeting.
Yeah, so he
47.
just might be starting to believe that he could achieve a victory in the spotlight here against Selby, because he's picking up his game. I know we've got the 15-minute break, which can change things, but right now he'd probably be feeling very confident. He's looking good. Not won the frame yet, but he's not far away.
Yeah, and from Selby's point of view, I think there's two things he'll be concerned about. One is safety. He's nowhere near as good as it normally is. And the other is he's just not scoring. Highest break 26. That has got to go up.
$53. $58. $59.
So this black, another red in the colour, and it's looking like 3-1.
Only just got there. Didn't mean to nudge into the red, but it's okay.
66. $67. $72.
So overall, I think Xiao Guodong has been very impressive so far.
$73.
That was another slight kick, but it's not going to matter, really. Frame is well and truly his. And plenty for Selby to think about. I suspect he'll be going on the practice table. He's just looked a little hesitant at times, as I say, not scoring. His safety, for whatever reason, not quite at the level we expect from him. Of course, we expect great things from him as world number one. And we often see great things from him. Not so far today, though.
$80. Sorry?
Oh, he's looking for something else to get through for this red.
Yeah.
He's not in, but he'll be happy enough with
80.
how the match has gone so far. He's made the highest breaks, 88, 52, and that break of 80. And Xiao Guodong at the halfway stage is in control. Mark Selby needs to up really every aspect of his game because he's trailing Xiao Guodong by 3 frames to 1.
You said, how you doing, Mark? He said, well, I haven't seen you because I get beat in the first round because he's played well. But this next game's huge. I think if Selby wins this game, he's back in the match. He loses it, the way he's playing, I don't think he can win.
3-2 or 4-1, and getting you there, Neil Folds and Dave Hendon.
Well, Mark Selby, I can tell you, went on the practice table in the interval. Not happy, clearly, with how things have gone so far. But he's been in this sort of situation many times and he's pulled it back many times. It's not over yet, but this is certainly a big frame, yes, because if he goes 4-1 down, then he's potentially just one mistake away from exiting the tournament. Well, that's a good start if he's trying to turn it round. Fantastic pot. He's on the black. Albeit with the rest, but he needs to, as we say, up his score in high break 26. That's got to go up.
Yeah, I think he's got to improve every aspect of his game, actually. But you're right. Certainly the scoring's where you win and lose matches. Safety was what gets you the chances, I guess, in the first place. And I'm sure he will play better. Won 3 world titles without having the occasional bad session at the Crucible, which he's managed to weather the storm and come through, and that's where he's always been very good.
But the black does not drop.
I'm amazed, actually. I must confess, I thought this was going to go in. I was half looking at the red that he would have been on, but it's a bad error to make. I mean, you do wonder, don't you? I was saying earlier on, I was kind of using the expression, you know, he's been so far ahead in the rankings for so long, Selby. Is he getting a bit lonely out there ahead of everyone else? And you've got to remain motivated. And I think he doesn't seem to struggle with it, but it comes down to the fact that when you win everything, all you can do is go and win them all again. And, of course, he's won this event before. He's won all the Triple Crown tournaments. I don't get the feeling he's in the middle of a slump, but here he's in a bit of trouble in this match, that's for sure.
8.
Xiao Guodong taking the opportunity here to get into the pack with the black over the pocket.
Yeah, I don't think he meant to hit that first red. I think he meant to go into the bottom of the bunch more so. And now he's, well, he's certainly got one up the table, the one to the left of the pinkish pots. But he was hoping for something else to the middle.
Nine.
Well, second prize will be the tickle in behind green and the snooker, but he was hoping to capitalise on Selby's mistake more than that. Yeah. Well, there can go wrong, those shots, but played it well enough. Wow. Even that, he's given the pot not an easy one. To the left, to the right middle here. 9 times out of 10, you drop onto that red and you will not stick it. Well, not an easy one, I admit.
Well, it was another chance to get in, to get going. It's another chance that's gone by the wayside.
Right now, all the half chances, which were probably a bit 60-40 in his favour, are staying up. You're not really getting any opportunities. You're not creating anything. And of course, you play against Mark Selby, and you know that you're going to be in a battle. Right now, Xiao Guodong probably can't believe how, not so much easy it is, but how the match is working out. But he needs to just stride on, doesn't he, and get away and put Selby away here. While the opportunity is there. You know, it can be quite difficult. You've got someone in the chair who's, you know, a world champion and a great player. You're meant to play the table. But it's easy to get embroiled in playing against the opponent a bit when they're so good as this man. Adds some pressure on.
Thank you. 7. Eight. $15. $16.
Well, we'd probably play on the bottom red here, but then we just have to find a way of getting on one of the others. I think it's safe to say that Xiao Guodong is an extremely good player, and for many years he might have been slightly living in the shadow of Ding Junhui as, of course, the best Chinese player. I'm sure he wouldn't necessarily want to say that, but it feels like that. He's been in a ranking event final before he got to the shootout final, which of course was controversially ranking from last year when he played in Shanghai. So he's been there before, and of course it was Ding who defeated him that day. But as far as his own career, I've always felt that he's a really good player. Nice touch. And it's just a question of
31.
How mentally strong he is. And we might find more out about him in this match.
Well, he must feel that this is a golden chance to land a big scalp. Selby underperforming.
Well, I think he was concerned about the cue ball again. His concentration divided between pot and position, but he should never miss that red. I think he was concerned about the kiss that he was going to get on the side of the bunch, which doesn't matter when the pot stays out. Possible lifeline here, not necessarily from this visit, but in that fact the frame is not lost at all yet. This would be a tough starter if he's going for a pot. I think he might be just chipping off this. That's kind of where the cue ball needs to go a little bit more for Mark Selby underneath that bolt cushion. Not a player born who likes playing from down there. Oh, that's very nicely played. That's a beautiful shot. I couldn't put the cue ball many better places with your hand than that. And it kind of sums up the match the way it's been going. It's rare to see Selby out played in the safety and tactical department, but that's been what this match has been about thus far.
Yeah, significantly. 91% Xiao Guodong on safety. Mark Selby 76. There it is, 15% between them.
Well, it wasn't an easy shot by any means, played with a lot of left-hand side, which means he's sort of swerving it onto the red. And as you can see, despite the fact that it goes, it's horribly straight. Cue ball could end up in the pocket with the red here. Very well played. It really was dead straight, wasn't it? Mercifully didn't quite hit it dead straight. Now dropping this in, this black, and for a red to the right middle is a very big pressure shot if he plays it that way. Well, very good. I've seen him play better, but he's been up to most of what's been asked of him so far this afternoon, hasn't he, Xiao?
8.
Yeah, he's spotted a few good pressure balls, which do make a big difference. And I guess also what makes a difference is he's not under as much pressure as he could have been if Selby was playing his best stuff. As I say, he knows this is a great chance to beat the world number one.
Nine.
Well, he looks pretty straight on this. He doesn't want to let his mind go too far ahead of himself here, because we've seen him do that once or twice in this match. He needs to just get to the point of no return, which red will he play on? It looks like he's been playing on the one that's out on its own. Which means that this next shot is a missable one. I think he can reach it, so not a rest shot at least.
14.
His frame ball, I would think. Can't imagine that Selby could come back into it if he pots this. And after all that, wouldn't you believe it, he's not played it well enough to be able to reach it without the rest. That is a mistake in itself. I'm not surprised he missed it, to be honest. The blue was a very poor effort to finish there.
Xiao Guodong 14.
Could have finished anywhere in that middle of the table. If he was going to play a rest shot, he would have wanted it to be straighter than that. The only consolation is he's covered it again with the yellow.
Held his hand up, actually. Did the Xiao Guodong. Just to acknowledge that.
Yeah, but he has left the other red, so it won't matter if this goes in. Sometimes you get a little one or two threads of tip just hanging over the edge and it can distract you. See it overlapping. I think that's what Selby was doing there. This is a very big moment in the match. It should, for the world, have been 4-1, Xiao Guodong, but it's out of his hands for the moment.
Well, this is quintessential Selby territory, this sort of position. He's behind in the frame, but he's got a chance to win it. Now, we've seen him do this so many times before. Not today yet, really. So, could this be the start of the comeback, this visit? Could really get him going if he can win the frame at this visit.
5. Six.
Well, I wonder if he'd have preferred to be on the pink to make that red more available that's to the left of it. I'm not sure which colour he played on there. Work to be done. Goodness me,
13.
that's not a good shot. He played with a lot of topspin. It took too much, I think. And now he's left with a very difficult red. This is not a nice angle to the left corner. Eminently missable shot if he plays it, which he has to, I think. Looking at maybe pushing the other red into play. Not exactly sport for choice. That is very good. That's the best shot he's played in the match.
14.
Yeah, in the end, he committed himself to it and cued it really well.
Goodness me, that is
19.
a dreadful shot for someone as good as Selby. How on earth has the cue end up there? I can only assume he played to knock the red in play. He got nowhere near the cannon. Recovery shot needed here. That's more like it.
20.
Keeper's been travelling to all weird and wonderful parts in this break. And he's still at the table. At last he's found some touch.
26.
And picked up the pace.
Yeah.
Well, the colour's just about on their spot, so this feels now like the key shot, really. Well, he's already pulled at some trees in this break. So the recovery shots he's had to play. But now he's given himself every chance of taking this frame.
33.
When he knows, and Xiao Guodong knows, it could have been 4-1 quite easily.
$35.
Yes, I think that shot where he was in behind the blue and he left himself on the next red, the fact that he needed the rest for it was a bit of a sin, actually. Because there's no way He wanted to finish there and use the rest. And he felt that he would miss it because the pressure was building. And he did.
He
only needs the pink. A bit early to say that it's the turning point of the match, but there's every chance that afterwards it could be seen that way if Selby goes on to win.
Well, the break's been a bit of a struggle, but it just underlines the fact that Mark Selby, even when he's not at the top of his game, he's still hard as nails, he still believes, he still fights. He's made by far his highest break of the match, a 60 clearance. Maybe that'll be the break that gets Mark Selby going now in this match. He's stolen frame 5. It could have been 4-1 to that man, but in fact, Xiao Guodong, he's leading only by 3 frames to 2. Here could have been 4-1. In fact, it's 3-2. We're just waiting for Selby to return. You can also watch on the Eurosport Player the match between Barry Hawkins and Graham Dott. In that one, it's currently 3-2 to Hawkins.
Yes, I think the match could have been different. Could have been 4-1 here. He's deliberately played to run through on this blue so they didn't need the rest, so that he could reach it. Well, he's obviously gone too far, got down to reach it, found that he couldn't get to it. Now, if he's going to play it with the rest, he'd rather have gone further and been straighter. So that was a big disappointment to him. It looks nothing at the time, but he missed the red. I felt he might. And he sat down in his chair for the rest of the frame. It really should have been his. The missed red seemed to take a different kind of perspective once he couldn't reach it just by leaning across the table. Small things like that, Dave, isn't it?
Yeah, and also, of course, then the clearance that Selby makes. It was not straightforward. He was in trouble a few times. He pulled out a few really good recovery pots. And, as I say, it's what Mark Selby's done throughout his career, even when he's not been playing particularly at the top of his game in matches. He digs out a clearance like that. It completely turns things. It's no great surprise either that he left the arena afterwards. He's making Xiao Guodong think about things. He's actually just creeping back in now. Try not to disturb anybody. But the whole feeling of the match has changed with that clearance.
Thank you. 6th frame. Mark Selby to break.
So Mark Selby, the world champion, the world #1, looked like going 4-1 down, but he pulled out that 60 clearance. It's 3-2, and it's game on again.
Yes, it looks as if that could be a pivotal moment in the match, but Xiao could do something about that. Of course, he'd have been delighted to have led 3-2 if you could have given him that at the beginning of the match. He'd have taken it for sure.
Well, loud applause coming from one of the other tables. You get in this tournament, as I said last night, it's a bit like a golf tournament where you suddenly hear a cheer from another fairway or another green, not quite sure what's going on. Got to concentrate on what you're doing.
Well, this is another opportunity at range. I would think that low camera angle is a great view, but it does not make the shot look easier than it is. And as you can see, it wasn't easy. To see exactly what he has left here, it looks, on first viewing, he's left the world, but the opening red might not be simple. Yeah, just hit across it slightly. You saw that cue didn't go through in a straight line. Very revealing, isn't it, when you see that shot from down there? players' cue action is everything. It's what they strive for, is hitting through the ball in a dead straight line, but you can't always do it. Now, I wonder how Xiao Guodong will react. Sort of slightly derailed the way that he was going with losing that last frame. It's only a frame, obviously. This is just what he wanted, an immediate opportunity in the next.
5.
In the Scottish Open, he beat the defending champion, Marco Fu, before losing to Robertson. Of course, Marco is having to take a few weeks, maybe a few months out of the game with the problem with his retina, and his left eye has been told to rest by doctors. So, unfortunately, we won't be seeing Marco for a while, but hopefully the treatment will go well.
Question of now if this goes on its own spot, and if it does do, will it then be potable? The answer is it goes. Not allowed to be touching the red, of course. Xiao Guodong had a little look across on that right side. I'm not sure of his findings, but he'll, if worse, play up on the blue. Sounds a more sensible move, actually. Conceivable that he might just flick into that red and pink here and just make something available of the two. Also, it would stop the cue ball. He did slightly overdo that shot. We've seen him make an error in playing a pot, thinking about his position. I think he's done that 2 or 3 times in this match. He needs to ensure that it doesn't happen again. That's a pretty good shot. That's a nice recovery.
$17. $18. $23. Yeah. Sorry. $24.
Well, he's done the hard work of
31.
getting the balls into the positions he wants. Now he's got to just kick on from here. Playing on the black in the same pocket as the red. He's always been a
32.
very good player in and around the black spot. Of course, most of the leading players are, but some are exceptional.
$39. 40. $47.
Well, this is
48.
exactly what he was looking for after the manner by which he lost the previous frame. Mark Selby had that tough long red, which he missed.
55.
Yes, and it was a good
56.
opportunity that he quickly received from that chance. Reds were all in the middle of the table. I was saying at the time that the shot that Selby was left with was not that easy, actually. It's one of those that the angle is slightly
63.
foreshortened, but that's quite a good cueing shot. The red wasn't over the pocket.
Well, it was a key
64.
moment for sure, and as I say, exactly what Xiao wanted was another chance after losing that last frame, and to make a big break as well. Just keep Selby in that seat. You know, Selby strode out of the arena after that 60 clearance, looking like a different man, but he spent almost all of this frame sat watching, and he needs snookers.
71.
And he's in big trouble, make no mistake. Won this title 3 years ago, came here again as one of the big favourites. But he's going to have to win the last 3 frames just to make the last 16.
72.
You can see Ryan Day shaking hands with Tepchire and Nu. Ryan Day's won that match 5-1. That's what all the applause is about. You just see them leaving there.
$79.
Well, it's not a century, but a fine break nonetheless
79.
from Xiao Guodong of 79. Mark Selby stays in his chair. He had that initial chance at the long red. He didn't pot it. And Xiao Guodong is now just 1 frame away from landing a huge scalp here in Berlin this afternoon. He leads Mark Selby by 4 frames to 2. 2 down to Xiao Guodong, who's played some good stuff today. He's just had a break of 79 to add to earlier efforts of 80 and 88. 4-2, and the Chinese needs 1 more frame for victory. Selby being made to wait here. This was the red he attempted. You can see from that angle just actually how far the red is away from the pocket.
Yes, it was quite straight, but he hit it badly. I have to say, the cue does not go through in a straight line. If you see it, it just goes away the back of the cue to our left. And, of course, it cost him the frame. It really did.
There was pressure on it because the red's already out in the open, so he knew he'd most likely be leaving something on if he missed it, and he did miss it. As Xiao returns now to the arena looking for 1 more frame to beat Selby for the 2nd time this season, having done so at the English Open last October.
Thank you, frame 7. Xiao Guodong to break.
Mark Selby has made many a comeback in his career. He needs another one here.
Well, that was an absolute mile away. That's as bad as you hit one for a long time. And trust me, that is something that will play on any player's mind. It was just off straight. He hit it about half ball, this. Goodness. Came as a shock, I think, even though he hasn't been playing well, how far away that one was.
One.
Raised hand, not for the pot, but for the little nudge on the green, which keeps him in position.
Four.
I guess this is where Mark Selby can call on all the experience that he's had of turning matches round, including big finals. His first ranking title he won 10 years ago now. The Welsh Open, around this time 10 years ago, was 8-5 down in the finals. Ronnie O'Sullivan won 9-8. Set a bit of a pattern.
Five.
He's won 13 ranking titles in total, of course, including 3 World Championships. You almost feel you should get sort of a couple of extra just for winning the World Championship. He's won the Masters 3 times, various other titles as well. But, of course, when you get in the winning habit, you want to stay there. 5 ranking titles last season. So far this season, only 1.
Ten. Eleven. Sixteen.
Just a little run off the side of those 2 reds here. Let's be a little careful with this shot. Don't want to go too far. And in doing so, he's not really gone far enough, but he has the pink as a backup shot. Not perfect.
23. Four.
You get the feeling that Mark Selby is struggling his way through this break. Even that shot, he didn't pot it cleanly. But you also
31.
get the feeling if he could make a frame-winning break here, go back to 4-3, he'd feel like he was really in the match, not just because he won the frame, but if he could do so in one visit, because that's what he hasn't been doing in this match so far. Just
32.
one break of 60 so far in the match, and even though it was a very good break at the end, he kept falling out of position. So he's not quite at ease with his game. But ultimately, he's professional enough to know that it would be a big win for Xiao Guodong if he could beat him, and he's got to find a way of doing
39.
that.
$40. $47.
The point with Selby is you've got to
48.
beat him. He's not going to throw the towel in. Start bashing the balls around, anything like that.
$55.
He made his
56.
500th career century in the early part of the year at the Championship League. Only the 5th player to do that. Judd Trump has since become the 6th. This is his highest break of this match.
63. $64.
So the pink to lead by 70 with 67 on. This is exactly what the snooker doctor ordered for Mark Selby. How many times has this happened? On the brink of defeat, he starts to play his best snooker. I've seen it so many times.
70.
Yes, and of course it will have to continue, because he's at the point now where one mistake that he would make in a frame, that could be end of
71.
match. You feel he's just finding some touch, and that's the most important part, the most dangerous part, I guess, for any opponent. It's taken a while in coming.
$78.
Well, it doesn't look like it will be a century,
Mark Selby 78.
but he'll take the
and a frame.
78 all day long. It keeps him alive in the match. He's won the frame in one visit, and Xiao Guodong knows this is not over yet. Still one frame away from victory, but now leading Mark Selby only 4-3. Now needs one, Selby needs two. He's just won the last frame with a break of 78. Now, of course, the Winter Olympics is fast approaching. It starts live on the 9th of February all across Eurosport. Not too long to wait for that.
Mark Selby
Well,
to
Mark
break.
Selby was on the slippery slope a little bit, wasn't he, earlier in this match, but he's found a bit of form with that last frame. 78 by far his highest break. This is frame 8. I wonder if snooker will ever make it into the Olympics. There's been various efforts made down the years.
Right.
And currently there's a new World Snooker Federation spearheaded by Jason Ferguson, the WPBSA chairman. But it's been a long old process. They had the World Games last year, which was basically for all the IOC recognised sports not in the Olympics, and Karen Wilson won the snooker gold. Well, Liang Wenbo is the latest winner, 5-1 over Tom Ford. You can hear the applause in the background.
Foul. Xiao Guodong 5.
Well, he'd be there a long time trying to recreate that shot. It's See if we can get Jimmy White to do it later on or something. It will take some doing. Here it is. Red hit the jaw. Quite across the middle of the table, pop the blue. Bring the house down if you meant it, that would. In this case, put Selby in a bit of trouble.
Foul.
Giving
Xiao
points
Guodong
away
foul.
for fun here. I don't know how those 9 points, will they'll have an influence on the frame later on or not. Definitely a chance, and he could have left something easier. Namely the red that's out quite close to the right corner, but he's covered it with the blue. And once again, it was a decent safety shot, and that's one thing he has done very well today, Xiao Guodong. He scored pretty well, but he's put Mark Selby in trouble on a few occasions. Certainly has competed with the world champion, which not so many people are able to do. Selby just opting for the containing safety shot, which sometimes can put you in more trouble on your next visit, but that's not necessarily the case here. Another pretty good shot. Selby will need to be careful if he's playing into bulk here.
Foul and miss. Xiao Guodong 4.
Well, it was clearly had to be a thin contact, otherwise the cue ball goes across to the red on the right in getting up the table. So I suspect he'll put it back. Slightly more troublesome, I think, than where it is now, where it was. Well, I'm really surprised he's asked him to play back from there. I think the safety shot's slightly more straightforward, because the red is not really in the way now on the right. That was never going to trouble him, that shot. And the last one obviously did, so that was strange. Well, he's continuing to take on positive safety shots. I am impressed by this. The way that he has played in the tactical aspect of the game, he's more than matched anything Selby's thrown at him, and in some ways he's put Selby in trouble. And say it again, that is very rare. Well, I think we call it the dreaded double kiss. That one was worse than dreaded. It was pretty evil, wasn't it, that result?
Yeah, and, you know, he's not guaranteed to be back at the table now, Selby. It's out of his hands anyway. Xiao Guodong with this starter.
One.
You can never be sure where the balls are going to end up. But on that last shot of Selby's, I think he blocked the cue ball. He guided the cue ball back pretty well there. I think you have to say that he's very unlucky for the red to come back. Could have gone anywhere. It goes into the cue ball and leaves it on. You would feel as if perhaps it's not going to be your day after that.
Well, Xiao Guodong has his chance.
7.
It's a slightly different circumstance to the other meeting this season, which Xiao won. As I say, they'd been shunted off down to table 5, out the way of everybody at the English Open because of scheduling issues. Centre stage here, sort of territory where Mark Selby usually thrives. didn't make a good start. Put together an excellent frame that we just saw to trail 4-3, but as I say, it's out of his hands right now.
Yes, this has kind of been a Selby frame
13.
in reverse so far, this 8th frame, in that, you know, he's forced penalty points out of his opponent as Xiao, and ultimately got the first chance of some very good safety shots. But now he's got to finish off. And of course, it will always be difficult to get over the line against Selby. I think he's played that with good control to free the pink and make it available.
18.
It wasn't so much that he had to control the cue ball, he just wanted the pink available to him, which clearly it is now. With those few points at the start of the frame that went his favour before his ball was potted, he's already got a handy little lead in the frame that he needs to win the match.
19.
Don't think that was one of his best shots. I think he can run the pink through, though. Not without losing the cue ball up the table. Yeah, just. It's turning into a wonderful chance to beat the world champion
25.
in a big tournament.
I think the Chinese
26.
contingent have taken strength and inspiration from each other. We've seen so many this season going deep in tournaments. We saw Yan Bingtao, Chow Yupeng both reaching finals. Quite a few Chinese players in semi-finals. From lower down the list, Ding Junhui won the World Open, but it's been sort of walkabout since, although of course he is up tonight here on table 1 against Ricky Walden.
32.
But it's not all about him anymore, by any means, when it comes to Chinese snooker.
$33.
Well, there's the match time. 2 hours playing time so far. Selby itching to get back to the table.
Oh, goodness, that was not a nice contact. Wow. It was a simple
Xiao Guodong,
blue, wasn't it?
33.
And he had no real problem getting up and down with the green away from his spot. Didn't sound good, Dave. I'm sure it was a kick.
Yeah, first time round, certainly in live play, it sounded horrible, actually. And a look of agony on the face of Xiao Guodong.
Yes, and it's a bit of a lifeline. Although Mark Selby is certainly have to up his game still, because this is quite desperate measures from now. That at least he's back at the table at all, I guess, would be the first thing to say in his favour. Doesn't like it. He didn't really imagine being coming back to the table and been faced with a fairly awkward shot like this. The reds are so well spread. Over a minute and a half on this opening red. And the one along the cushion, well, the red and the colour are not easy to tie together here. Got to put a bit of pace on this. It's missable. Pretty good.
1. Yep.
He's taking his time, isn't he? He's been at the table quite a while for this break. 3 minutes. Just potted 1 ball. Toby Gilbert in the background. His match with Mark Jess has gone 4 all.
I don't know about the Winter Olympics, but Mark Selby skating on thin ice, to say the least here, but still going. And that
6.
kick that Xiao Guodong got on the blue could still be a big moment. It's allowed Selby in.
Seven.
This was the ball, the blue.
Must say, like you, it didn't look so bad on replay, but at the time it really didn't make a very good sound, and clearly he missed it as well, which I don't imagine he would have done had he not got a kick. It was one of those which, well, if it was to turn the match around and Selby was to come back and win it, it would feel very significant.
$13.
Well, Selby looking to do what Selby does in this situation, which is take advantage. He really is taking his time, though, on everything here. He's having to will himself almost to get back into this frame.
Oh, dearie me. Red to the middle was not part of the plan. Yeah, I thought he was a bit tentative there. I mean, he obviously played to kiss the pink out of the way, but it did come back in front of the red, which it always seemed like it might. It's not a particularly, adventurous or positive shot that he tried there. This will have to be a good one. He looked at other options, but ultimately he knows he has to go for this. Saw how difficult it was, and it was never quite in.
18.
That will be a huge relief to Xiao Guodong, that it didn't cost him the frame what happened.
Oh, well, firstly the red surrendered, and then the logo fell on the table. He scrambled to get it out of the way before the cue ball rolled over it, because that would have been a foul.
Well, it would have been, wouldn't it? It would have been I haven't seen a foul of that kind.
Green ball.
I don't suppose you could put it down to anything else but his mistake. Anyway, he'll be snookering in behind the brown here.
Xiao Guodong 1.
There has to be a foul if it brushed into the logo, which would have been a new one on me.
There it is, it falls off. The cue ball's on its way. Yeah, I said scrambled. It was quite calm in the end.
Well, yes, but it's just something else to think about that you wouldn't usually have to worry about, isn't it?
Yeah, and also, you know, because it's supposed to be stuck to the clothing, and now I'll be thinking, OK, I've stuck it back on, but will it stay there? It's just, like you say, you don't need to be thinking about those sort of things.
Known in the trade as logo failure. It's a new thing in snooker. Never mind getting a kick or anything like that. It's a new way of ending a break. For the moment, Mark Selby, that's the least of his worries. He's in a big snooker here, and he's coming 1, 2, 3, 4 cushions, maybe a fifth. This is very, very difficult. Right hand red is trying to hit, but getting past the blue was always going to be difficult. This is deep trouble.
5.
Deep trouble. Because it seems to me he's got to weave the cue ball through all sorts of gaps between the bolt colours and the blue, and then he's still going to hit the red if he misses all those. And as I say, it's that bottom right-hand red trying to nestle in behind. This will be a great shot if he gets in behind that red. And he's given away a lot of points in fouls in this frame. It's starting to really count against him now. Well, he's got past the blue. That's where it's extremely frustrating, isn't it? He's played it ever so well.
Miss.
But he'll have another try to play it even better because it's going straight back.
Yeah, because the point is he's choosing to play on that red. Specifically, there's 5 there. He's choosing to play on that one so as not to leave one on. So he's going to have to hit it, otherwise it's going to keep going back, unless, of course, he leaves a pot on.
Yeah, the other thing is he might at some point have to have a rethink. If this keeps on giving away points, he can't really afford too many more. No, it's a magnificent shot, absolutely top class. He's given away 22 points in the frame in fouls, but that really was worth those couple of previous attempts.
Masterful from Selby there, that escape.
You know, the odd thing is, the red by the pink might even cut in, you know. It's, I'm sure you can see a little bit of it. But even then, you know, does he need to take the risk? I'm sure he can get to it. And if he can get to it, he can pot it. Yeah, so there you are. I mean, Selby played a brilliant shot, but ultimately still stuck a ball. So he'd have to have got buried in behind the red to have left it safe. Incredibly difficult shot he was faced with.
So what a chance now for Xiao Guodong to complete victory. It's 39 in front. Going to need a couple of reds here.
Well, I can tell you one thing, he did not play on the bottom red. That is one red he'd like to have kept where it is. He played on the... He played a little bit further up the table to cut the one of the 2 next to them in. So he's not over the line yet. This is a big shot. May not play on the colour from here.
So pink and one more red he needs to complete a famous victory. And to give Mark Selby, I think, a little bit to think about. So much is expected of him, not just by the sport, but by himself, I'm sure. And it's not quite panning out this season as he would have liked. There's no getting away from that. The credit to Xiao Guodong, who has played well today. He's had some big breaks. 88, 80, 79.
10.
And as you can see now, he needs this red, and Mark Selby is going to require snookers. It looks like the world champion, the world number one, is out. As I say, things for Selby to think about in terms of what he has to do with his game. It's his safety today, if anything, that's let him down. Mark Selby, a great tactician, right from the off was struggling in that department. He's really got into the cue ball there.
13.
Selby will play on surely, assuming this break is over. 2 snookers to tie. So his hopes not completely extinguished.
Xiao Guodong 13.
Just sort of flickering away. Well, again, he's offered up another chance. And there it is. That's the winning shot.
1.
Xiao Guodong is going to land the biggest scalp of them all, the world number one player. It was 3 years ago at this very tournament where Mark Selby took over again as world number one, winning the German Masters. He's been there ever since. He'll still be there after this tournament, but this season he's not panning out as he would have liked, and he exits in the last 32 of the German Masters. He made a bad start, and Xiao Guodong has hung on in this 8th frame to put himself into the last 16. It's a great win for the world number 30 from China. He's beaten the world champion Mark Selby here at the Tempodrome in Berlin by 5 frames to 3. What a win.